The sun, a swollen, bruised fruit, dipped below the jagged teeth of the ashfall peaks, casting long skeletal shadows across the cinder wastes. Elara, her hands calloused from years of sifting through the dust of a forgotten world, shivered, pulling her threadbare cloak tighter. For generations, her people, the Ash-dwellers, had eked out a meager existence in this desolate land, haunted by whispers of a time before the great ashfall, a time of verdant forests and clear skies. Their only inheritance was the constant, stinging grit in their lungs and the dwindling hope of a prophecy. When the ember of the first dawn ignites, the world shall remember its green heart. Elara, unlike most, clung fiercely to this prophecy. Others saw it as a child's tale, a cruel jest in a world that offered only despair. But Elara, with her startlingly bright eyes, saw more than ash. She saw patterns in the wind-scoured rocks, felt tremors in the earth that spoke of buried rivers, and in her dreams, she saw colors that no one in the wastes had ever witnessed. Emerald, sapphire, crimson. One parched morning, while foraging near the ancient, crumbling spire known as the Watcher's Stump, Elara stumbled upon something that pulsed with a faint, internal light. It wasn't a gemstone, nor was it metal. It felt alive, warm to the touch, and hummed with a barely perceptible vibration. It was small, no bigger than her thumb, and deep within its crystalline structure, a tiny golden flicker danced. It was an ember. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Could this be it? The ember of the first dawn? She rushed back to the encampment, the ember clutched tight. Elder Maeve, her face a roadmap of countless sorrows, listened patiently to Elara's breathless explanation. Maeve, though burdened by the weariness of her people, still held a spark of the old wisdom. She examined the ember, her gnarled fingers tracing its delicate contours. "It is unlike anything I have seen," Maeve murmured, "but the prophecy speaks of a dawn, not a spark in the dust." Elara's spirit deflated. "Then what is it, Elder?" "Perhaps," Maeve said, her eyes distant, "it is a seed of hope, awaiting its soil." But what soil could nourish a seed in the cinder wastes? The land was barren, poisoned by centuries of ash. Despair began to creep in, chilling Elara to the bone. Yet, she could not discard the ember. It felt important. She kept it close, wrapped in a scrap of soft cloth, feeling its gentle warmth even in the coldest nights. Days turned into weeks. Elara continued her solitary explorations, always with the ember. She noticed something subtle. Where the ember rested, even briefly, the ash seemed less harsh. A faint, almost imperceptible sheen appeared on the dust, as if tiny invisible crystals were forming. It was too small to make a difference, but it was there. One evening, a fierce dust storm descended, tearing through the encampment, scattering meager possessions, and threatening to bury them alive. Panic seized the ash-dwellers. Elara, huddled with the others, suddenly felt an urge, a desperate, irrational whisper in her mind. She unwrapped the ember. Its golden flicker seemed to intensify, battling against the suffocating darkness. With trembling hands, she dug a small hollow in the ground, shielding it from the wind with her body, and placed the ember within. Then, in an act of profound instinctive faith, she wept. Not tears of sorrow, but tears of desperate hope, falling like precious rain onto the tiny ember. As her tears soaked the ground around it, an impossible thing happened. The golden flicker within the ember flared, growing brighter, pushing back against the swirling dust. A faint, ethereal light pulsed from the hollow, a beacon in the storm. And then a sound. A faint, almost inaudible crackling, like brittle leaves unfurling. The dust storm began to recede, not because of the wind's caprice, but as if repelled by the burgeoning light. When the first rays of dawn pierced the clearing sky, where Elara had placed the ember, a tiny verdant shoot, no bigger than a needle, pushed through the ash. Its leaves, a brilliant emerald, glistened with dew, defying the desolation. A gasp rippled through the ash-dwellers. Elder Maeve knelt, tears streaming down her face. "The ember of the first dawn," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "It was not a fire but a seed of life, watered by belief." Over the following weeks, tended by the ash-dwellers who now understood, the tiny shoot grew, drawing strength from the lingering warmth of the ember which, though still glowing, had become part of the plant's roots. Soon, other shoots appeared, then hardy shrubs, their roots weaving through the ash, revitalizing the poisoned earth. The air, once thick with grit, began to smell of damp soil and nascent green. Birds, unseen for generations, began to return, drawn by the burgeoning life. The cinder wastes would not transform overnight. But the ember of the first dawn had ignited, not in a blaze of glory, but in the quiet, persistent growth of life. It had shown them that even in the deepest despair, hope, nurtured by unwavering belief and effort, could blossom. Moral of the story: true hope is not a grand, miraculous event, but a persistent, often quiet, force that requires nurturing and belief. Even in the most barren circumstances, small acts of faith and dedication can lead to profound and transformative change, reminding us that the seeds of renewal lie within us and our actions.